Hello, it's Jessica from Diamond Sticks YouTube channel, and I figured we'd do a little video walking around tour this morning of what the weather looks like. As you can see, all this snow and the ice has melted, and now we're stuck with the rain. Seems like in the fog because it's early in the morning. I'll give you a little spin around tour of the hillsides and the mountains there. There's the patch of snow that I had shoveled up for 99% for the most part. What's left of it. There's some of the fog and stuff, so we're getting all the rain and stuff now, and then there's mud you can see, and mud puddles and dirt. I hate the rain because, as you can see, I don't have covered porches on my house that have roofs on them. So other than that, I would like covered porches. I love porches as far as that goes, but I don't have covered porches. I never have, and I don't plan on investing that much money in this house, considering that I hate living here. I always have. But anyways, here's the ice that's left on the pond and how high the water's up from the rain and stuff. See, it's melted there in the fog. I hate the rain. It seems like that's all it's did is rained ever since about around 2014. It seems like that's all we get most of the year. That's why I say that we could be like Washington State, even though I've never been to Washington State myself or nothing. But I've always heard that like places like Seattle, Washington and stuff, all it does is rains. Well, that's all it does here in Kentucky ever since 2014. It seems like to me is it rains most of the year. After we get the snow and the ice or the cold, sometimes we don't get as big as snows as what we did this year or whatever. But it seems like that's all it does is it just pours the rain from the rest of winter all up until all of spring. You might get a few days of spring that's nice, and then it seems like that you get a bunch of days in the spring and summer that's just rain. And then after it gets so hot in the summertime, you start getting that humidity weather where it's just so hot you can't stand it. It feels like you're walking outside into an oven or something. But here's I'll back up a little bit and show you. Here's some of the rain and stuff here. And fog coming off. It looks cool looking, don't get me wrong. The fog looks cool looking coming off the pond where it was frozen over into the mountainside there and stuff. But here it is. It's just pouring the rain out here. And seems like after the humidity starts in the summertime, it don't end until late fall usually. No, last fall back in 2024, we had gotten a lot of fall, like autumn weather, you know, which autumn's probably my favorite season or whatever, but we had gotten a ton, and it was unusual. We hadn't had that in years, like I said, probably ever since like 2014 or so. But we had gotten some really, really beautiful, gorgeous fall-like weather, but at the time I did record it on this phone, the one I get to borrow to use to make my videos with, but they wouldn't go through for some reason or another, so I had to delete, like, even before I posted my first video and stuff on YouTube. I probably had about 20 some different videos of different things before I even posted my first video that actually went through. I don't know what the deal is, why it didn't work, why it didn't go through, but anyways, we did have a gorgeous fall back in 2024, this past year or whatever, and it was kind of unusual because we haven't had that in years. Fall like or autumn like weather, like the way it's supposed to be, for like a number of days, even weeks at a time, because we mostly start getting the rain again after the summer, after the humidity around here in Kentucky, eastern Kentucky. But you can see back on the hillsides there's waterfalls and stuff that was frozen over, and now they're starting to thaw out and unfreeze. Usually if it gets real bad with the rain and stuff, usually you'll see anywhere from like across that hillside, that mountain of my neighbors there, you'll see about 5 to 10 different waterfalls up from that hillside there. I'll try to zoom in on them so you can see some of them. There's one, and I don't think I can see the one that's back over here this other direction. It's just started raining ever since the snow and ice melted around here. But the other one hasn't started here yet. I don't think. I can't see it anyways. I'll try to zoom in. And there's that little cave thing up above the RV thing there. Yeah, the other one, there's usually like 2 or 3 in between there from those 2 houses. And then over here I'll zoom in. See how it's melted there. Ice and stuff. There's still some ice, but it is melting there. Those are just cliff sides. That hillside and stuff is a lot steeper than what it looks like. It's a lot more steeper than what it looks like. That hillside is. Looks kind of creepy, but it also looks cool whenever it's foggy like that. I'd rather have the snow than what I would the rain and the mud and the dirt. Because even if you clean house or something, you can't even tell that you've cleaned house. And everybody just tracks mud and dirt all in the house, and you can't even tell it that it's been cleaned or anything. And it gets on everything. Can't keep it clean because of it. But the fog does look kind of cool looking. Kind of creepy and also kind of cool and beautiful at the same time. You can see, I'll zoom in there. There's a waterfall coming off the hillside there in between the cliffside of where there's still a little ice frozen over. Trees fall all the time around that hillside. And people don't, in my opinion, they don't cut it up as far as what they should with a tree line, flower line or whatever. They don't cut it up as high as what they should go with the trees. It's just my opinion. We all got opinions. And then there's another waterfall there. Usually though, the one that gets the biggest is actually that one that's, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's like right up above this tree right there. That's usually, and that one over there is usually the biggest ones. But this is what kind of weather that I'll be getting here in eastern Kentucky for the rest of the time. More than likely, on and off. You can see it's already up here on the water line of the pond. The water is next to the bank and stuff. You can see how high it's getting up already. But yeah, that's the type of weather. Can't even hardly see my other neighbors that live in that direction past that way. Their houses because of the fog going up. But yeah, this would probably be what the weather would be like, on and off, all for the rest of the winter. We might get some more snow. I don't know. I doubt it. I could be wrong. I'm not no weatherman or nothing, and I didn't go to school for none of that stuff. It's just my opinions. But it might get some more days of colder weather. But I'd say this is what we'll have, is just the rain, maybe some flooding. But we haven't really had a huge flood ever since the flood of July of 2022. We haven't had a big flood since then to amount to nothing. Not in my area anyways. Not nothing that affected me or my household. But yeah, there's some more fog, and this rain like this brings down trees and stuff too. Brings down trees, especially on the hillsides and stuff. It just, you can see the water's up in this ditch line a little bit, and then my neighbor's yard over there. The water's up. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit on that waterfall there. Hillside, cliffside. And there's other waterfalls on down the other direction where the other two ponds that belong to my neighbors, that one there, and then the other one back that direction. There's also more waterfalls that come off the hillside if it gets real bad. But those two right there, or three right there, are probably the worst ones when it gets real bad about the water coming off the hillsides. Is that one there, and then this other one over here. But yeah, they start coming up and filling up fast once the water gets real bad. You can see the water is already starting to get up a little bit high. Once it starts getting up to that deck line of that pond over there, that's whenever the water starts getting up high and stuff. And whenever it was during that flood, there was water all through. I didn't even know I didn't know where the pond was in my yard there, not right next to that little tree, little Rosa Sharon bush tree right there. I fell into the pond that day of the flood back in July of 2022 because I didn't know where the pond was from the water line or whatever to distinguish the two apart. And so I fell into the pond that day. It didn't matter though, it was just next to the bank, and it was probably about up to my knee during that time out in my yard, but the yard did look like it was covered over like a lake and stuff. This ditch line fills up fast, and I don't plan on digging it out no more. I'm just too sorry. I don't care how people judge me. I'm just too sorry, and I don't want to do it. And I've done it too many times to care. Dug out that ditch line and replaced it with poles and tubes and stuff like that, and I don't want to do it no more, so I ain't doing it. Could care less. But anyways, we walk over here to the fairy garden. I'll show you it too. The water during that flood was up above this fairy garden too. It was well over top of it because the stuff in the fairy garden, the contents and stuff, was floating around the yard when it was like a lake and stuff. That fairy garden gets weeds in it all the time. Usually my youngest daughter, she enjoys like decorating and stuff, so she'll come out here like once or twice a year or something, and she'll still pick out the weeds, and I'll help her, and she'll like play around and decorate with it and stuff. But yeah, you can see where it's been raining overnight. And during that flood of July of 2022, what had happened was it had been raining on and off just like how it is right now. Probably for, let me pick up this piece of trash while I see it out here in the yard. But anyways, it had picked up all kinds of mud, water and mud. But anyways, it had been raining on and off for, I would say, well over a month. Well, it had been raining all spring long that year, on and off like it is now. And then whenever July came, because it happened like I think July 28th or July 29th of that year. I can't remember, I'm not for sure. But anyways, when that happened, we just got like, it had been raining, like I said, all through the spring of that year, on and off and stuff. But we had gotten like one or two good downpours. Like, I mean, downpours that came through the night and lasted all night long, and just never slacked off on the pouring of the rain or nothing. And it probably started real late in the afternoon, and then it continued until like, and I think it was just really just like one day of that from what I remember. But I think it just downpoured for like hours, you know, like from the evening time that day till up in the early morning, because most of the flood happened between like 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, was whenever it was at its worst point from what I remember around here in eastern Kentucky. There's another waterfall over there. I don't know if I can show it to you or not. There's 1, 2, 3, and then I can't get the other one in the camera. But anyways, from what I remember, I think the majority of it, when like all the losses happened and stuff from people from the flood and stuff, was during probably about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. During that time period is whenever that mostly happened, whenever the most it was at its peak, I guess you could say, with danger. And I have all kinds of rocks out here in these buckets. I collect rocks sometimes to paint, but I don't know if I'll be painting anymore or not. But and then I have these buckets. Actually, these buckets, I admit to it, these buckets came from the flood and stuff, because I was like helping clean up debris and stuff. And I got stuff during that flood, and I gave stuff to them, like my other family members and stuff at the time, and neighbors, and people that I did know that got flooded out and stuff. So like all these buckets that I have right here, I just kept, you know, and I don't feel bad about it. So anybody's got any opinions on that? And same thing with these huge things like these big tubs. I gave a bunch of those away to people who had gotten flooded, and I kept them 3 because my youngest daughter, she wanted me to keep them, and I don't feel bad about it. She plans on painting them and putting some flowers in them and stuff. And you can see underneath of here, here's some of the rocks I had started painting like last spring or fall or something, and it started downpouring the rain, so I just gave up on it. But anyways, I don't feel bad about it, so y'all don't even try to guilt trip me. I don't care. Y'all don't try to troll me. I'm the queen of trolling, so there you go. But anyways, and you can see over here on this concrete, that's where I tried to, like, back last spring or fall, I can't remember when it was, or summer. That's whenever I was trying to paint some rocks, and it came downpouring the rain, so it left some paint and stuff on the sidewalks. But here, my ditch line here, you can see, is filled up already with the rainwater and the mud and stuff. That's how it starts. There's just filling up and stuff with water. And so, yeah, it just do this for the rest of the winter and the rest of the spring. It'll just pour the rain on and off, you know. But I think whenever that flood happened too, back in July of 2022, it was about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning on the 28th of July, I believe is when it was, or 29th one, I can't remember. But anyways, my daughters, they woke me up and they was like, Mom, look outside, there's a flood, we got flooded or something, they're like that. And I was just like, oh, because I hadn't been to bed and I was so tired. I had my days and nights messed up where it was summertime and stuff. So I was like, oh, y'all leave me alone. I thought it was just pestering me, you know, for nothing. And so anyways, they woke me up and I was like, y'all leave me alone, let me sleep, I'm tired, you know. And they was like, no, mom, you gotta see this, there's been a flood and we got flooded out and everything. And they was like, you gotta get up, you gotta see this, our house is about ready to get flooded over or whatever. And then so finally, after them saying that and doing that for about 2 or 3 times, I got up out of the bed and I was like, okay. So I had to use the bathroom anyways because I had been sleeping. And what's one of the first things most human beings do whenever they get up to go use the bathroom, go pee or something. So anyways, I was looking out my bathroom window, and after I got done peeing, and I was kind of halfway asleep, and so I didn't really believe it too much. But anyways, I got up and I was like, what in the world? Whenever I peeped out the window there in my bathroom, I was like, what in the world? You know, the sun looks like it's trying to come out. But anyways, after I peeped out the window, I was like, what in the world is going on? Because I looked out my back window there in the middle of my bathroom, and I was like, oh my goodness, because they wasn't lying, and it was like, and they wasn't joking or whatever. It was like a big old lake looking out here in my yard, and probably the water came up to, I mean, it made like a circle ring around my house, and obviously I did pray about my house not getting flooded and stuff. I mean, who knows, that might have helped, I don't know. But the water did come up to about, let me show you over here. It made a big old circle ring and like protecting my house. But the water did come up, there's dog crap already over here. But it came up to probably, it was touching like these back steps. It was probably on its way up to touching these other steps. But there was a circular ring that was probably about right here to where my foot is. From there, all the way, so about maybe from here to there, I guess is about 3 foot out from my house. There was a ring that was all around my house. And then like as you stepped into the water, it was up to my knees. And I'm probably about 5'4" or 5'5" tall, 5'4" inches tall or 5'5" inches tall or something like that. You can see the fog is starting to go away now and the sun's starting to come out. But it was all in my yard. And like I said, like that fairy garden and stuff out there, all the contents was floating around of it. And then stuff from my neighbor's yards and stuff was floating around. Especially down that way, because that's where it was crossing the railroad tracks to the pond and stuff. I mean, to the this side of Black Bottom, upper Black Bottom. And so, like the water over here was still water, like a lake water or something like that. But the water over there, and then it was up on this side of the house. It was touching on this side of the house, but it was only touching like maybe 2 feet up or something. It wasn't that high up. But we've always had, to be honest, we've always had a lot of water damage and stuff to that side of the house, about water sticking around and just staying and stuff. But my neighbor's yard over here, their yard looked like a lake, and it was up higher, of course. I mean, it was probably this one here, this neighbor here, I don't know, it was probably up about 4 or 5 feet off the ground in their yard, because their yard's a little bit lower than what mine is. You can see there's all kinds of trash out here and stuff too. And that's how it was too during the flood. There was like not my trash bin, but like my neighbors and stuff. There was stuff that was coming out of their garages, and there was stuff that was coming out of just from over the railroad tracks. Here I try to walk up the railroad tracks to show you. But there was stuff that was floating down in that corner there across the railroad tracks and stuff. And it was coming up out of the yards and everything. You can see my garbage. My garbage is always piling up though. It's always nasty and piling up. And I got sewer problems I always have ever since I lived here. But the flood just made it worse and stuff. But you can see the fog and stuff, and the sun's trying to come out. The water gets stuck over here in this ditch line too. Have to cross the railroad tracks here. But anyways, I'll show you once I get up here. I'm really bad out of shape. I'm sorry if y'all hear me breathing hard and stuff. But the water was over there in that corner. I don't know if I'm pointing it the right direction. I can't see because of the sun in the phone. But over there in that corner, and it was coming around. It was coming swiftly over here in this bottom. It looked like a little ocean, because it was also, the creek over there was overflowing. And so everything in the world was floating around out here. Big old trees, vehicles, tires, lumber, Sorry, my voice is still a little bit hoarse too. But anyways, anything you can name, you would see stuff floating around over here in this water that used to be what is the bottom or whatever, where people have their gardens and stuff. But it was just, it was a real, it was real dark brown water. And I seen basketballs, toys, I seen like doors to people's houses floating around. I seen vehicles, I seen like 4-wheelers, side-by-sides, all kinds of other stuff. And I don't know if you can see it. I'll try to zoom in. Can't really see it because it's so foggy. But over there is used to be a rental property that belonged to my parents. And the one next to it too. There's like a double wide and there's also a single wide trailer they used to rent out. And both of them was being rented out at the time. And the people who was renting it out, there was in one family, there was a family of 4, and they had little young children. And then the other family, they had like a 7-week-old newborn baby boy, I think it was. And it was just, it was the woman, the mother, the wife or whatever, she had to hold the baby above her, and she's a pretty tall woman. I mean, she's taller than I am, and the dad's tall too. But anyways, she had to hold the baby above her head during that flood. And there is like a porch over there on that used to be over there, that single wide. They had it torn down after the flood. But anyways, she had to hold, coming out her back porch of that trailer, she had to hold that little 7-week-old baby above her head, above her shoulders, and it was still up to her neck in water and stuff that was coming from that flood. So that's on the other side. So that tells you how high it was and stuff during the timing of the flood and stuff, you know. But I guess I could walk y'all up here on the railroad tracks for a little bit and talk to y'all and stuff. Just walk you around, show y'all some stuff. But anyways, so yeah, and then they had other children too besides the little 7-week-old baby. But, and then it was like up to her husband's shoulders during that flood too. So the water got up really high during that flood and stuff. The fog's starting to go away, starting to leave, even over there in the other people's yards. The snow's starting to melt away, I guess because of the rain, and just turned it into fog and stuff. But usually if it stays cold in the back neighbors' yards and stuff, there won't be they'll keep snow and ice like that. Usually, unless if it's raining like it is today, they'll keep snow and ice like that up until late spring, like, you know, sometimes even like up in March, sometimes even up in April or whatever. A lot of times people will take these railroad ties like this. I know you're not supposed to, but a lot of people do that around here. I've not really done it, but anyways, I mean, I might have years ago. Let's just be honest. But anyways, they'll take like these and like the tops of these. I've seen people make like little ladybugs, and it's cute, and they'll just stick them in the ground and stuff, make crafts out of them. But paint them red and black, you know, little ladybugs and stuff on them. And they'll put them out in their gardens and stuff, just as little craft decorations. And I ain't gonna walk the railroad tracks because I will slip and fall off of here and get hurt. Sorry, my enemies. I'm not gonna satisfy you too much today. But anyways, there was like only 4 people, I think. I mean, 4's still too many, but still, I think there was like 4 people who passed away due to the flooding that happened back in July of 2022 here in Letcher County. And I think one woman had a heart attack, and then I don't really remember what happened to the rest of them, but I think like that one woman who lived in that house below Letcher County Central High School that I showed y'all in a different video, she was, I still don't remember if she was 89 or 98. I think she was 98, but I can't remember for sure. And she didn't die like just because of the flood necessarily, but she did die like days after the flood is when she passed away. But the flood waters was like all around her bed. They took a picture of her and put her in the Mountain Eagle, that's the local newspaper that's local to us. Excuse me. Anyways, though, and then her son passed away, but I don't really want to say, so I'll just say allegedly. I don't really know why he passed away or anything, but I think he passed away, I'm pretty sure he passed away anyways, like sometime afterwards that she passed away. It wasn't a long period of time from each of their passing on or whatever that they passed away from each other, or passed away from one another or whatever, their deaths or whatever. Let me see if I can't zoom in, show you some of that. Sorry, my nose is running. Yeah, the fog's going on up out of here, out of the hillsides and stuff. It's going away. Sun's trying to come out, but not really. But like I said, this will more than likely be the type of weather we get from now on out. It seems like that's been a pattern ever since, like what I said, about 2014 or so. Seems like we've just gotten what I would call, I've never been, but what I would assume they call Washington State type weather, just where it's raining all the time and stuff. And it seems like that's what we get a lot of times, is just the rain from the rest of the winter, all the spring, a lot of times in the summer, but a lot of times too in the summer we'll start getting the humidity and stuff. It'll just be so hot you can't stand it. It'll feel like you're walking outside in an oven and stuff. It seems like that's what the weather will be like. And then even in the fall. But like I said, last fall we had actually a nice fall and stuff for the most part. One of the better falls we've had in years. But I had videos of it, but I had them recorded, but I couldn't figure out the phone. The phone won't let me like record big long videos for some reason, or I couldn't get them to post back then. And so I just deleted those videos. But I did have like about 20 different videos of other things before I even posted my first YouTube video on here and stuff. I had videos of other stuff, but I couldn't get them to post. Let me zoom in again right fast on them waterfalls up there on the hillside. All this rain will make the trees fall and stuff a lot too. See how the water's coming up. See, during that flood, I was just out walking around like I am now, but I walked over there, right there, in that hole right there next to the pond is where I walked and fell at, about right in through here, across from that little Rosa Sharon bush tree right there. It was somewhere like right in through here. I fell into the pond because I couldn't distinguish. Because see, like right there, just now you didn't see it, but there's a hole right there, probably a crawdad hoe or a snake hoe or something. But anyways, I fell right there in the pond during that flood and stuff, because I couldn't distinguish which one was the land and which one was the pond or the bank or whatever from the. See how high that waterfall? Let me zoom back in on it. How high it goes up. It's almost at the top of the hillside, really. Goes up pretty high up there. And I'll zoom in on the other one too so you can see. That's nothing but a cliff right there. Goes up real high. And all the fog. I'll be quiet for a second so you can hear how peaceful it is, I guess you could say. People that live in the city, they don't much get silence and stuff, so I'll be quiet for a few seconds. Let y'all hear something. Just hear the nature. I don't think YouTube likes it whenever we're being quiet. I don't know all the ins and outs about YouTube or nothing, but I don't think that they like people posting. I could be wrong. I don't think they like people posting videos of too much silence. That's why I try to talk as much as I can in my videos and stuff. And I don't think they like people using music and stuff either. Here's the little grave we have for the first indoor cat we had. That was its name. My youngest daughter, she painted this rock in memorial for him. And we buried him here. That's where we buried him at. It was a wild little boy cat. Climb on everything. I used to call him like Samson, just like from the Bible, because he had such long hair. He was a tuxedo cat, so he was black and white. But his hair would shed everywhere, all over the place and stuff. And he loved to sit and watch like animated or Mortal Kombat like TV shows and stuff. He would sit and watch them and put his paws up and act like he was trying to fight them and stuff. Whenever we had him, he was always getting into everything, climbing on stuff and just trying to tear up everything too. See how the chickens are in my neighbor's yard, just grazing off of that snow melting and stuff. But yeah, he passed away. He got stuck in the dryer. I didn't know he was in there, and so he got stuck in the dryer and stuff, and he asphyxiated. Got too hot and everything, burn up. It took me like probably about a week. It was a while. It was days before I could clear that out and stuff from where he passed away in the dryer. We did use the dryer for a little while longer after he passed away in it, but then we ended up getting rid of it finally and getting a new dryer. But like I said on a different video, every dryer I've ever had living in this house, I don't know what it is, if it's the wire or what, where it's such an old house. Because this house was built like in 1976 and then I had it moved. But the dryer, all the electronics as far as that goes, I don't know, I can't remember for sure. I'll have to sit and write that down sometime. How many dryers and wash machines I've had just living in this house and stuff. How many I've went through. I've went through more than what a person should have to go through, because I've only lived in this house over here for like almost 21 years. It's just a little over 20 years though. because I moved in here when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter. I was like 7 months pregnant, I believe, whenever I first moved into this house over here and stuff. And then before that, obviously, I lived over there on my parents' properties and lands and stuff. But, see how muddy it is and stuff up through here next to the house. And this is the septic. I've had at least probably at least 3 different septic tanks. I mean, like new septic tanks put in this house. I'm walking on the septic tank right now here in the front yard where one of them is. But there ain't no places to put it because like that used to be my grandpa's house there, and it's now my uncle's house. And they had before, even when my grandpa was alive, this used to be where he would have septic tanks and stuff out here. This used to be his garden spot too, where my house sits. And so he had all his septic tanks and stuff put over here in this yard. And then whenever my uncle moved in and stuff after my grandpa passed away, he started putting his septic tanks and stuff out here on this yard and stuff. And so there's septic tanks and stuff all in this yard, so there ain't no place to put it. So I really wish that the magistrate, that was distantly kin to me at the time, whenever there was a vote going through for that from the county, allegedly, whatever. Anyways, I wish that he was the very one who, I wish that he did not vote against having the county put in a sewer system. That would have really helped me out, and a lot of people like me. I would prefer to pay a monthly sewer bill as to dealing with all the troubles I've had to deal with and putting in new septic tanks and stuff. And you're not legally, which I'd say it's like that for most of the country anymore anyways too, but you're not legally allowed to have like a outhouse or nothing like that on your property. But and I really don't know of anyone anymore. When I was growing up, when we had an outhouse, we didn't use it. It was just there. I guess it's something that they wanted at the time. They got rid of it. It used to be out there behind the barn, about where that RV camper is, but they got rid of that years ago. I guess they just wanted it or something extra to use or have or something. But then they made that law. I think it's all Kentucky. It might even be all around the United States. I don't know. Maybe besides Alaska or something. But you're not legally allowed to have an outhouse, outdoor toilet, or whatever you want to call it. You're not allowed to have that in, as far as I know. I know it's Kentucky, but I don't know about the rest of the United States, what the laws is or anything. But somebody like me, if it's kind of like a dream, I would like, not this house. I hate this house. To me, this house, and I've always felt like that. I never, ever intended on living in this house for more than like 2 or 3 years. I was pregnant at the time with my oldest daughter. And so there was a lot of stuff I'll get into in a different video of reasoning why I'm kind of like stuck in this house now. But anyways, whenever, like, what is a dream to me or whatever. Sorry, I lost track of thought there for a second. I was looking at this fairy garden. There's a lot of shells and stuff in this fairy garden too that me and my daughters have gotten on vacations in the past, going to different places and stuff. And then some of them store-bought, but some of them actually came from some of the places, like this bigger one here that came from like Bimini in the Bahamas. And I went to Bimini in the Bahamas. That was the first time I went on a cruise. I went there, and then this rock looking thing that came from Bimini. And then this little piece right here, that shell, that came from Bimini in the Bahamas. That was the first time I'd ever been on a cruise, and I did that like the end of June of 2022 to July 4th of 2022, right before that flood. And even back then, on the drive, we did it through a bus touring company. That bus touring company doesn't exist no more. The owners of that franchise or whatever, that woman passed away like a year or two ago, back in December. But I think it was like December 2023 is when she passed away. But anyways, and so that there was all kinds of dealings that allegedly I don't know nothing about. I ain't getting into. Is why they didn't reopen that company or whatever. But anyways, that woman was real nice though to me or whatever as far as that goes. Anyways, though, like all that ride and stuff down there on that bus touring company in that July of 2022 and the end of June of 2022, like I said, it had been like raining on and off all spring long, and then it was like some days we'd have like downpours of rain and stuff, like around, the first few days of July or whatever. And then it started to rain on and off again all through the rest of July. And then towards the end of July that year is whenever that flood happened. And it was just like I said, like real late in the afternoon, real late at night that night, it started pouring the rain, like a downpour of rain where it didn't stop for like 4 or 5 hours straight of nothing but hardcore rain coming down. Just, you could hear it, which I can hear everything with my back door. My back door needs to be taken down and everything's falling apart with this house. But anyways, the door just slamming back and forth during that flood and stuff because of the wind and stuff from the rain and everything. And into my front door, at the time I didn't have nothing blocking it, so it was constantly being blown open and rain pouring in. And then that side door there to the house was the same way. It was constantly just having being blown open by the wind and rain pouring in. And then that went on for hours and hours and hours. And then, like I said, it was like, I don't know for sure, but I think it was like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I could be wrong. It might have been like 6 o'clock in the morning. It was early, because it was early for me because I hadn't been to sleep and my sleep schedule was out of whack. And so my daughters was like, Mom, you gotta see this. We've been flooded out. And I just thought they were just, because I'd seen some floods before, but nothing like how it was that day of July of 2022. But anyways, I think it was like July 28th or something when that happened. See how the fog had backed over again. But it looks creepy and it looks cool looking too. And kind of creepy beautiful in a way. But anyways, they was like, Mom, you gotta get out of bed. We've been flooded. We're about ready to lose our house because the water's getting up so high. Whenever I got up to pee and look out my bathroom window, I was like, kind of like in shock. I didn't believe it, and I was probably still halfway asleep. And the water was like all across my yard and covered like a lake. And it didn't probably end until like that hump right there in between mine and my uncle's yard. It was like probably at the tip of that hump, because there was a lot of people gathering at my uncle's front porch of his house to get out of the flood from lower Black Bottom that we're kin to. And there was also a lot of people that came up from those houses down there, my neighbors that my dad and stuff is distantly kin to, because they were coming up on little boats, and my dad went to get them and walked them through the floodwaters and stuff, and they was sitting on, mostly hanging out, and they did stay with my dad and mom or whatever for a few days and stuff during that time, because the water was like up above the ceiling I think at some points it was like 8 feet tall, is what that woman said during that time and stuff. And so they had to walk through it and wait for the waters to drain out and stuff. But I think, I can't remember, but I think the power was off here for like, I could be wrong, but I can't remember. I think it was off for like, um, I want to say it was off for at least a week during that time, but I could be wrong. It might have been off longer, I can't remember. But I think we didn't have internet now for like, it was a while. I can't remember how long it was for sure, but it seemed like it was weeks, but I could be wrong. And then the same thing with the water. I had to go somewhere else. Look at that big old bird. I'll try to zoom in on it before it leaves. Look at that big old bird over there across the railroad tracks. In that tree. I don't know what it is. It's huge though. Try to be still for you all. But yeah, it was like weeks on the water around here. I had to go to Pike County at my ex's house. His parents would let me take a bath and stuff and shower over there at their house during that time because the water, we didn't have water. I mean, for like, I think it was like 2 weeks or longer during that flood that we didn't have water and stuff. Trying to walk up here closer to see that bird. I guess it's just seeing what it can get during that fog that's coming about. Try to turn around. Look how creepy and cool looking that looks through there. But yeah, we didn't have internet for a while. I don't remember exactly how long it was. And we didn't have water, didn't have power. I don't remember for sure how long it was or nothing. But I know it was a while and stuff on things that we didn't have stuff like that. Walk up here a little bit further and show you all that bird. See if I can get close to it. Might be like a crane, I can't really tell for sure what it is. A lot of times through the different seasons and stuff, we'll have those cranes or whatever they're called. They'll come here and graze and stuff for days at a time or weeks at a time sometimes next to the yards and stuff over here next to the ponds. They'll come over here and stuff. I don't know what that is up there though. I don't know if that's a crane or something different. It looks kind of like it has a long beak, but I can't tell for sure what it is. I got it zoomed in as far as it can go. This phone is not the best in the world, but it's all I got to use right now. It's like a cheap off-brand, I think in the Galaxy stuff, Brandon phones or whatever. I do like Galaxy brand phones, but I just don't think that this is a very good phone. Look at that cloud right there, rain cloud. Kind of looks like a dragon just floating by or something. Or a Loch Ness monster. I just sometimes sit around and look at clouds like that. I know I'm a weirdo. But anyways, I'll look at clouds and just try to think of what shape they are sometimes. See it, bird is not wanting to fly off. It's a huge bird, whatever it is, back there in the tree. I'll zoom out here. It's still up there, even if you can't see it, but I guess I'll get off here. There's my septic and how it goes out in the roadway. Now this blacktop here, this blacktop road, it's a really nice, thick blacktop road. It hadn't been done in years, but then they did actually. The county came through with that, and some of that money that they got, I'm sure from the flood, I'm assuming, allegedly, whatever. Anyways, they finished paving this, and this is one of the better blacktop roads that happened. after the flood, but it didn't happen though until, like I said, I think that they got this done, this road here paved back this year, 2024, or last year, back around, I could be wrong, but I think it was back in the fall or summer whenever they done this, whenever they got it paved and stuff. But they did a really good job, better than what had been done in years, as far as them paving the road and stuff here on Black Bottom Road. Because there's still places in the county that are not so great about having potholes, and it was too. This road right here was bad after the flood, like a lot of places still are or whatever, but it looked like, I mean, I can't even describe the damage that it did to the roads. Just, I guess, it eroding out and stuff from the raining all the time and stuff from the flood or whatever. There's that bird still. But anyways, it looked like a earthquake. It had cracks all in the road, and or a tornado or something had happened, even though it was from a flood. It's so weird. It just had huge potholes, but the whole sides of the roads and stuff just looked like that they had been broken into little bitty pieces and everything. It was weird, strange looking. And down there on our local fire department, there was that they tore down that whole fire department, and I don't know what the deal is, what all's going on with that. But they had it rebuilt, and I don't know if it was built allegedly or whatever. I don't know if it was built to standards or not, and I think that they have to find a different place to put the fire department. I don't know. I've heard everything in the world, so I don't really know what's going on with that. But they got a bunch of money allegedly back for that. But they, like, their whole parking lot and stuff had all kinds of like cracks in it and stuff, and it looked like a big earthquake had came through and just tore the place apart. See how muddy and stuff. The rain's starting to pick back up again. I don't know if you can see it or not. It's starting to rain again. And see, this ditch will overflow, this ditch line, and it just start covering that road right there. And it just goes back and forth, filling up. Because this right here yard's a little bit higher off the ground than what this other yard of the neighbors is. Because like years ago, whenever I was a child, my parents did have that pond dug out for swimming purposes. And they put all the mud and stuff. They had to hire big old cranes to come in. And the cranes would put big old piles like all over this yard over here that used to be where my house is now. That used to be a gardening spot for my grandpa and stuff for his house. It used to be his house there. Anyways, they would be like 5 foot high mounds of mud over here, little piles. And they was probably about 5 feet apart too, or wide or whatever. Anyways, back whenever I was a child, one of my siblings' friends, he come here, and they were just goofing off, I guess. We were real young, we were children, but they were just like walking across the piles of mud. I mean, they was literally like this whole yard where my house sits on, and even every little bit that I own of this yard was covered in just like piles or mounds of mud. And that boy that he was friends with, he was walking across there, and he got stuck in the mud, I remember. And he got stuck in it, like, it was above his waist. He was like waist deep or above. And it seemed like it took forever to get him out of the mud. So I guess in the way you could say it was like kind of like quicksand or whatever at the time. And it was probably about right over through here. Right in through here somewhere is about where I'd say he got stuck at in the mud in one of those big piles that used to be here from where they dug out the pond back then. See that it's pouring the rain again in the fog's starting to go back off in other places and stuff. And then over here, I don't know if you can see it or not, I don't have a basement on my house or nothing, but whenever they first had this house moved down here, my dad used to work in the coal mines, and so he had gotten a coal mine, that's a coal mining door that I used to get underneath my house with right there to the floor. I won't call it the basement, I'll just call it the floor, because that's what they used to use in the coal mines. That's how low they were to get into the mines. And I guess mining carts, I don't know for sure, but I guess mining carts would go, or maybe that was just the doors for each section of the mines or something that you would go into. But, because I don't think a mining cart could fit in between there. But that's how low to the ground, like, the coal mining doors are. Because that's what that is a coal mining door. I'd say it was used for each section of the mine, which I am. I'm just assuming, just guessing. But, anyways, I'll get off here because it's starting to pick back up and pour the raining, and I'll give y'all another quick little turnaround. Show you everything before I cut off of here. And, I'll go over here right fast too and